Welcome back to Madam Speaker. We get some final thoughts from all of my guests, and I wish that you could be a fly on the wall during the break because there was some delicious repartee going on. Hopefully we can recreate that for you or share some of that with you. Kate Skinner, Mandisa says that there isn't this air of intimidation and that all that they're asking for is for equitable coverage. I know that we're speaking specifically to the EFF, but I imagine that a lot of political parties, of course in the run-up to the elections, will say the same.
Well, I mean, I completely disagree because I think that there's been massive intimidation of journalists, and I think that the problem has been around individual journalists. Individual journalists have been named, and then what has happened is that they have then been trolled on Twitter, and further to that, in the real world, in the physical world, certain journalists have actually been accosted and threatened. And there've also been talks now. Let me finish. And also they've actually been threatened. And the other issue which has now come up is issues around saying we are going to actually go to your house and we want to find your address.
Who's that?
So this is material that has been on Twitter.
Let's have a real discussion.
Who was told that we are going to find his or her address?
I want to know. This is what
who was accosted? Who was accosted? Who was accosted by who? Who was told that we are going to find your address?
Was accosted in the shops.
Which shop? Where? When? By who?
Come on.
Don't start those games. You see, that's exactly why we are here.
The issue is that
you create. Let me tell you what's the underlying issue.
The issue
you know what is the underlying issue?
on Twitter, and
Iman,
also,
do you know what is the underlying issue?
Okay, let me just round up with Kate, and I'm going to get a straight response from you, Mandisa.
Because the issue is also that, like, Pauli has been, for instance, called Satan. So they've been, and in fact, some of the Twitter that we have been collecting has also said we're going to burn down media houses. I mean, so this kind these kind of attacks actually mean that particular individual journalists.
Go ahead, Mandisa.
Yeah. This discussion is becoming very serious because the things that she's saying are not only libelous, but they are a huge insult to the EFF. She's making accusations, very serious accusations, and she must not do that as an editor. Because I can open a case against her now when I live here. I can go to Hyde Park or Craig Hall, and open a case of lies that she's spreading now on a national broadcaster about the EFF.
Iman,
all right, let's bring it back.
I have got
evidence
of these tweets.
When I wrote the story about the Maharani meeting...
Hold on. We can only have one conversation, I'm afraid, because our mics only go in one direction. Go ahead.
When I wrote the story about the Maharani meeting, a whole ANC Women's League leader sent me a picture of a gun, intimidated me, issued statements. When politicians issue statements, they don't talk about media houses anymore. They come for Juanita Hunter. They come for Polly van Wyk.
Is this a dangerous time we're going into, William?
Yeah, very. I mean, the good news is that the measures that will be introduced to deal with people that think that you can say and do what you like on social media particularly. This is the new form of censorship, you know, and I'm afraid that the EFF recently has been doing exactly that form of new censorship, you know, and we know this. And there's overwhelming evidence to support.
You know, but when you don't have proof, when you don't have proof, when you can't present the truth, when you can't present the proof to people that this was what happened with so and so.
I just told you my story.
No. I understand your story. Like stories, there's a story of Konita. I understand your story. Polly, you said Polly. When you cannot, you say that so and so has taken money from VBS.
I can bring you those tweets.
The proof on the table. That here is the proof.
Kate Skinner says there is proof. Kate Skinner says there's an abundance of proof.
I have proof. I will
so why
give
don't you
that
present the proof?
Because I don't have my phone on me at this very minute.
Why don't you give it to the Parliament Portfolio Committee?
I will. And we are doing precisely that. We are gathering evidence.
All right.
What do you mean when? It is out there. It says
out there when? Paranoia. It's on your files. On your files.
All right.
On your head.
Stand by, Lehlohonolo. Thabo, let's bring you in.
I think we are just too quick to just get to a conclusion without waiting for all the facts to be on the table. So if there is proof, and indeed there might or might not be, let's wait for all the proof.
And do you believe that fuels the notion of a pre-agenda?
It does. I mean, it does. And you know what? We cannot blame the public for thinking that media has an agenda because, especially if you keep banting on the same issues all the time with the same people that you are talking to. But at the same time, we cannot be surprised when the media starts to also attack back because we get a point of back and forth between the media and the other side.
William Bird, it is dangerous in our society, as I'll share with in my closing statement, when the media is not trusted and when there is a climate of distrust? How do we begin to get back to a place of trust really quickly?
Sure, we have to make sure that media commit to ethical principles and guidelines and adhere to them and be held accountable when they breach them, and clearly so. And we also have to ask our political leaders to equally adhere to the same kinds of principles.
My only bugbear is we don't have enough time, but it would seem that we need to hold fast to the core principles of our craft to be fair, balanced and accurate. Have we done enough to put muscles on the public's faith and trust in us? Or are we easy scapegoats for those who want to avoid scrutiny at all costs? The reality is the Fourth Estate is a partner to democracy. When it is under fire, so too is our democracy. This is Madam Speaker.